Video opens on a black screen. Sounds of a raging battle. Clashing swords. Guttural shouts. The thundering of hooves fill the air. Quick flash to a chaotic close-up. A desperate sword fight unfolds under a blistering desert sun. Dust and sweat blurring the figures. Quick flash, a Crusader knight. His armor battered and his breath ragged, collapses to his knees in the sand, his sword falling from his grasp. He is utterly defeated. Abrupt cut to complete silence. The only sound is a gentle sloshing of water. A hand, steady and deliberate, extends a shimmering golden goblet filled with cool water into the frame, offering it to the defeated knight. The camera slowly pans up from the goblet, past the richly adorned sleeve, to reveal the calm, composed, and dignified face of Saladin. The contrast is immediate and powerful, an act of profound mercy in the heart of brutal warfare. This is not just a conqueror. This is a man of honor. In the annals of history, few names resonate with such a complex mixture of military genius and noble character as Salah al-Din Yusuf ibn Ayyub, known to the West as Saladin. His story is not merely one of conquest, but of a man who rose from a scholar to a sultan, uniting a fractured world under a single banner of faith and purpose. Born into a Kurdish military family, young Saladin was more inclined towards religious studies and poetry than the art of war. He was a scholar at heart, immersed in the Quran and the sciences. However, destiny had a different path for him. Scenes of his youth would show a quiet boy poring over ancient texts, his brow furrowed in concentration, before seamlessly transitioning to a determined young man, mastering the skills of a warrior, thundering across the plains on horseback and studying the intricate strategies of his predecessors. This dual education forged a leader who was as wise as he was formidable. The world he inherited was a chaotic patchwork of rival Muslim principalities. An animated map would show these fragmented territories across Egypt, Syria, and Mesopotamia, vulnerable and divided. With unmatched diplomatic skill and military prowess, Saladin began the painstaking process of unification. He brought these disparate factions together, not just through force, but through a shared vision, forging the powerful Ayyubid Sultanate that would change the course of the Crusades. The culmination of his military brilliance was the decisive Battle of Hattin in 1187. The Crusader armies, led by Guy of Lusignan, were lured into the arid, waterless plains of Galilee. Saladin's strategy was as simple as it was devastating. His forces seized control of the Sea of Galilee, the only source of water for miles. The scene is one of suffocating tension. The sun beats down relentlessly, and the Crusaders, parched and exhausted, gaze upon the shimmering lake they cannot reach. Tormented by thirst and harassed by Saladin's archers, their disciplined formations crumbled into desperation. Quick, brutal cuts would show the ensuing battle, not as a glorious clash, but as a systematic dismantling of a dehydrated, demoralized army. The disciplined Ayyubid forces, well supplied and positioned, overwhelmed the frantic Crusaders, leading to a catastrophic defeat for the Kingdom of Jerusalem and the capture of its king. With the Crusader field army shattered, the ultimate prize lay before him: the holy city of Jerusalem. 88 years prior, the First Crusade had taken the city in a horrifying bloodbath, slaughtering its Muslim and Jewish inhabitants without mercy. As Saladin's formidable army stood before Jerusalem's ancient walls, the city's defenders braced for a similar, vengeful assault. But Saladin was a different kind of conqueror. Instead of unleashing his soldiers for a sack, he entered into negotiations. In a moment that would define his legacy, he offered terms of peace. Those who could afford it were allowed to ransom themselves and leave the city unharmed. The poor, the elderly, and the widowed were granted their freedom unconditionally. The contrast was stark and deliberate. Where the Crusaders had brought massacre, Saladin brought clemency. He restored Muslim holy sites, but allowed Christian pilgrims to continue their worship, establishing a precedent of religious tolerance that was almost unheard of in that era. Saladin's chivalry became a legend, earning him the respect of even his most formidable adversaries. The news of Jerusalem's fall triggered the Third Crusade, led by the fearsome King of England, Richard the Lionheart. The two leaders were titans of their age, locked in a ferocious struggle for control of the Holy Land. Yet, amidst the bloodshed, a remarkable bond of mutual respect formed between them. In a legendary display of knightly honor, when Richard the Lionheart fell gravely ill with a fever during the campaign, Saladin did not press his advantage. Instead, he sent his personal physician to tend to his rival, along with gifts of fresh fruit, snow from the mountains to cool his fever, and pure water. It was an act that transcended the enmity of war, a gesture from one great warrior to another, acknowledging a shared code of conduct even in the midst of total conflict. Ultimately, both Saladin and Richard recognized that neither could achieve a total victory. Their long and costly war concluded in 1192 with the signing of the Treaty of Ramla. This truce left Jerusalem under Muslim control, but guaranteed that unarmed Christian pilgrims and merchants would have safe passage to visit the city's holy places. It was a pragmatic and honorable end to a brutal conflict. A final, noble portrait of Saladin would show a man whose face reflects both strength and wisdom. He passed away just a year later, but his legacy was already immortal. He was more than a conqueror. He was a unifier who brought together a fragmented Islamic world, a brilliant strategist who outmaneuvered the greatest armies of Europe, and above all, a figure of chivalry whose mercy and honor earned the lasting respect of his enemies and the undying admiration of his people.